That's kind of a little creepy grin, eh? Hi guys, thanks for joining me for another Screw the Cubicle TV episode. I'm, of course, Lydia Lee, and here we are talking about the freedom-based mindset and your business and your lifestyle, of course, on your terms. So today's topic is about getting paid to do what you love. It is a nice thought, isn't it, to get paid to do what you love, but where do you start? So for starters, you may not be paid to be lounging on the couch all day, eating popcorn, and watching Grey's Anatomy episodes all day. Is that show even still on? I have no idea because I've been living in Bali for the last couple of years and I haven't watched any TV. But you got to really think about, being paid of something that is of value to other people. So what is a business? Why do people exchange their money for your services or products that you might create? Well, they exchange their value of money so that they can get something of value from you. So what are you exactly solving with your career or your business idea? That's something to really think about. So this video, I'm going to try to prompt you on a couple of things to think about and reflect upon when you are quite clueless or confused as to what could you do for money. And hopefully this will help you get started on picking the right business idea for you. Okay, reflection number 1. Have you gone through something significant that you've solved for yourself that you can teach someone else that's suffering through the thing that you solved 3 years ago or 2 years ago or even last year? Okay, so think a little bit about your life experience. A lot of people that are looking for meaning or purpose in their idea sometimes start from the space. I know that's kind of, in a way, how I started Screw the Cubicle, scratching my own itch of who I was back then that needed the help, and then gone through the problem and then teaching other people to get through that hurdle that's now in the stage that I was in. So think about all the pain or struggle that you've gone through as a human being. Was there anything significant that you went through that really made the difference in your life that you're like, wow, what happened there for me seemed really painful at that point, and now I'm such a better person because of it, and I figured out some sort of solution or some sort of path for myself that has made life better for me. So what are those things for you? And this is a really great way if you want something that's a bit more mission-based in your work, or as I said, purpose, right? Is you are able to serve other people going through that struggle as well because you've kind of carved the way for them, or you've gone through the pain enough to feel it personally, and then you have the credibility of the experience. A lot of times the painful things we go through as humans, there's no textbook to tell us how to go through it. Like someone has to go through it and really experience it and then can tell you a lot about the details of what really happens when this happens to you. So if you're, a lot of people will say, I need years and years of experience in a business idea, or I need to prove myself with multiple clients at the beginning, but how can I do that if I have no clients right now? Well, really, people are looking for real stories and real reasons to relate to you. And if you have gone through something personal, you're going to have credibility in just the fact that you've gone through it. And you can then really help them on a personal level that a therapist or something couldn't be able to do, because it's very kind of more textbook like, or bring them through the process in a little bit more paint by numbers way, whereas you may be able to really meet them where they're at because you've really suffered with that problem on your own as well. And like I said, it really does give you this expansion of your mission and giving you a little bit more meaning in the work that you might choose to do. And reflection number 2. How can you combine a really needed, valued skill in the world with a dash of something unique that's maybe part of your personality or a talent that you just seem to have quite naturally? So, in something that we're really great at, probably someone else is doing quite a similar thing, and it's hard to set yourself apart from other people sometimes. And we all have trouble with that with our branding. How will one customer choose me over somebody else? And think about ways that you can infuse multiple skills or multiple talents together and create this kind of unique secret sauce of who you are. I was just kind of on a call a couple days ago with a graphic designer on a discovery call with this girl who really wanted to find out how can she create a business based on who she was, and she had this needed skill in the world, like a graphic designer. She could do websites, so this is all really needed in the world, but how can she be different? How can she have fun with this career and really make it her own? And one of the things that she really loves is humor. She just loves making jokes and making things fun for herself and for her clients. So, and one of the things that she can do that's not a lot of people love to do is these GIFs, and she loves making those. So I kind of said, why don't you make also like, on top of the graphic design design that you might do for branding or the website stuff, you could make like a social kit, for business owners, where you give them these GIFs or the memes or memes or whatever they're called, and make it kind of this fun social media kit for them that's part of their brand and in the same branding that you would have created for them, but have this kind of fun aspects that they can put on their Instagram or their Twitter or their Facebook pages, and have that as an additional thing. Or maybe you're like a graphic designer or web designer. Sorry, if you're like a web designer that, let's say, have great writing skills, and I know anyway, that like I would love to have a web designer that is also a writer that can proofread things and not just plunk all my copy there and no cross-check or double-check. And maybe part of how you're going to market yourself is say, hey, not only am I a kick-ass web designer, I'm going to make sure that your copy makes sense, and being able to separate them in different areas of the sales page or whatever you're designing and make it, really stand out for you in your copy because I understand writing. I understand what engages the audience, and now all of a sudden you can be really sought after. It's kind of a value add, and you can go. You get the full shebang if you go with me, because I do these two parts, and I make sure I emphasize on that in my services. So that can really make you stand apart from the competition, because there will always be someone else doing what you're doing, unless you're some sort of Steve Jobs or Bill Gates that is making something completely, someone else has never done before. But most likely you're doing work that has been done before, and really infusing who you are, your personality, multiple talents that you have, because you are probably a multifaceted person with multi-passions, and that doesn't have to go to waste. So figure out what can you combine together that can really sweeten up the deal for your clients or your future clients. All right, and the last reflection, which is a fun one to think about. What frustrates you and makes you angry in the world right now that you think that you want to be helping to solve with skills that you have? So all of us have things that we give a shit about, even if it sometimes frustrates us to talk about it, but you still talk about it because you care about it. So whether that's women's rights or you wanting to more sustainable solutions in the world, or maybe you're like me where you're just like really sick of people playing by the rules just to get a bit of freedom in their lives. What are those frustrations in your life right now? And you probably know a bit of clues on that, on understanding the conversations that you're currently having right now with other people. What blogs are you reading? What seems to be on your Facebook feed that you seem to be clicking on? These types of topics and themes are of interest to you in some way, and you give a shit about them. And then figure out what are the skill sets that you have that you can utilize to actually help that cause or help that mission go forward. So let's say, take an example of, let's say you're an app designer, okay? And one of your frustrations is about the education system in the world. How frustrated you were as a kid when you had to play by the rules of like taking tests and doing things a certain way to be told if you were like an A student or a B student or a C student. That frustrates you because you think, what, lots of kids learn differently, and how dare they put you into a box, and these kids believe they're stupid, for the rest of their lives just because they couldn't play within the rules of the high school system, let's say. So what can you create as an app designer? Because that's obviously a great skill to have, but towards that focus, right, of solving that problem. So maybe you might think about, what app could I create that are for parents that also believe that, that know that the education system isn't serving their kids. What can you create as a learning system for different types of people learning, different types of kids? Maybe they're more auditory, or maybe they're just more doers, or they can't memorize and take tests. But how can you develop something maybe with someone else in education that you can sell to parents to kind of help their kids understand where their genius is and their intelligence is before they start having that chat about where you're going to go for university, what degree you're going to take, and that is something kind of cool. I would buy that, just even for myself. And then you can really market that shared vision that you'll have with that app or that development of that type of product with other people that believe in it. So thinking about what pisses you off sometimes gives you a clue as to what you give a shit about. So that's always a good way to help direct you towards a focus of a passion-based idea. So the key to figuring out how to get paid for what you love is to really refocus from me to them, okay? Because the reality of a business and a great idea is really not about you. It is about the people that you're supposed to help. So really, first of all, thinking about why you want to help a specific group of people, or help within a particular problem that you really want to solve. So figuring out the why is really, really important. And then thinking about who it is in that problem that you specifically want to help, reverse engineer that, and then figure out how you're going to do it with the skills that you already have, and then to lead you to what idea that everything can fit into. And being able to really think of the why and the who, and to get you to the what and how is going to be essential for you to start thinking about other people, thinking about what you can create for others that's going to be of value to them, so that again, they're going to exchange their value of money with you. Okay, so I hope that really kind of wet your whistle on some ideas to reflect upon on thinking of how you can do work you love. And of course, the conversation continues at the video blog post, which is at screwthecubicle.com, where you'll have access to me personally. Every time you write there, I will respond back on my own. It's not a robot or my intern. And I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you, out of the 3 reflections, which one resonated with you the most, and which one could you start having some ideas for. Okay, thanks again for joining me for this episode, and I will see you on the next one. See you later. Hey, thank you so very much for watching Screw the Cubicle TV, and don't forget to subscribe below to get all the latest cubicle crashing content on how to quit your 9 to 5 and create a life and business on your own terms.